Chapter 1. Creation. In the beginning, there was nothing but endless darkness and profound silence. The void stretched across all existence, devoid of sound or light. But then, from that nothingness, a mighty will emerged, the will of God. With a power beyond imagination, he spoke, and his voice echoed through the universe, "Let there be light." And light burst forth, radiant and brilliant, banishing the darkness and separating day from night. That was the first day. On the second day, God gazed upon the boundless expanse above and below. He stretched out his hands, parting the waters from the waters, crafting a vast blue sky where clouds would one day drift. The waters gathered below, awaiting the next miracle. By the third day, he summoned dry land to rise from the depths of the seas. Mountains surged upward, valleys stretched wide, and the cracked earth bloomed with green grass, vibrant flowers, and towering trees. God smiled, adding fruit-bearing trees with sweet bounty and golden fields of wheat. Everything was perfect, alive under the morning sun. On the fourth day, he adorned the heavens with gleaming jewels, a blazing sun to illuminate the day, a gentle moon to light the night, and countless stars twinkling like tiny fires in the dark. They were not just lights but markers of time, seasons, and endless cycles. The fifth day arrived, and God turned to the waters and the skies. He declared, "Let there be life." Instantly, birds took flight, singing songs of freedom across the heavens, while beneath the waves, fish and creatures of the deep darted like living gems. From the mighty whale to the smallest minnow, all danced in the rhythm of life. Then came the sixth day, the greatest of all. God crafted the beasts of the earth, proud lions, graceful deer, and playful rabbits hopping through the fields. Yet he did not stop there. With deep love, he took dust from the ground, shaping it into a human form made in his own image. He breathed the breath of life into its nostrils, and the human awoke, named Adam. God placed Adam in this beautiful world, granting him dominion over all creatures, and instructed him to live in harmony with creation. As the sun set on the sixth day, God surveyed all he had made. From the radiant light to the soaring birds, from lush forests to the soul-bearing human, all was very good in his eyes. On the seventh day, God rested not from weariness, but to sanctify a day of reflection and peace. The world was complete, a masterpiece born of love and creativity, crafted by the hands of the Creator. Chapter 2. Adam and Eve. After creating the world, God placed Adam in a breathtaking garden called Eden. Crystal-clear rivers flowed through meadows of vibrant flowers, trees bore sweet fruit, and the air carried the fragrance of life. Adam lived among the animals, naming each one from the chirping sparrow to the majestic lion, and all existed in harmony, like a symphony of nature. But God saw that Adam was alone. Though surrounded by creatures, none bore a soul to share his joys or sorrows. So, while Adam slept deeply, God took a rib from his side and fashioned a woman, beautiful and gentle, named Eve. When Adam awoke and saw her, his eyes lit up, and he exclaimed, "This is bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh." From that moment, they became partners, living in peace and love under God's care. God blessed them, saying, "Eat of everything in this garden, from the fruit on the trees to the greens of the earth. But one tree, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you must not touch, for the day you eat of it, you will die." Adam and Eve nodded, content to dwell in paradise, free from worry or fear. Yet in the shadows of the garden lurked a cunning creature, the serpent. One day, as Eve admired the tree of knowledge, its shimmering fruit glowing like jewels and exuding an enticing aroma, the serpent slithered near. In a honeyed voice, it whispered, "Did God really say you can't eat from any tree in the garden?" Eve replied, "We may eat of all but this one." He said we'd die if we did. The serpent smirked, "You won't die. God knows that if you eat it, your eyes will open, and you'll be wise like him, knowing good and evil." Its words wormed into Eve's mind. She gazed at the fruit, feeling a strange longing rise within her. It was too beautiful, too tempting. She reached out, plucked a fruit, took a bite, and handed it to Adam, who stood nearby. Without hesitation, he ate too. In that instant, their eyes opened not to wisdom's light, but to shame's darkness. They saw their nakedness, hurriedly covering themselves with leaves, hearts pounding with dread. When God walked through the garden in the cool of the evening, he called, "Adam, where are you?" Trembling, Adam and Eve hid behind bushes, but they could not escape. Adam stammered, "I heard your voice, but I was afraid, for I am naked." God asked, "Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree I forbade?" Adam pointed to Eve, "The woman you gave me gave it to me." Eve shifted blame, "The serpent deceived me." God turned to the serpent, declaring, "You will be cursed, crawling on your belly and eating dust all your days." To Eve, he said, "You will bear children in pain and be subject to your husband." To Adam, "The ground will be cursed because of you. You will toil for your food until you return to dust." Their disobedience shattered Eden's perfect harmony. God expelled them from the garden, stationing an angel with a flaming sword to guard the way back, barring them from the tree of life. Adam and Eve stepped into the harsh world beyond, carrying the pain of their fall but also a seed of hope, for in his love, God promised a future day of redemption. Chapter 3, Noah and the Great Flood. Time passed since Adam and Eve left Eden, and humanity multiplied across the earth. But their hearts strayed from goodness, sinking into pride, greed, and violence. Children's laughter gave way to cries of pain, and green fields were stained with blood from endless strife. God looked upon the world, his heart heavy. His beautiful creation had been corrupted by sin. Yet amid this darkness shone a single light: Noah, a righteous man, humble and reverent before God. God chose Noah to bring hope to a world drowning in chaos. One day, as Noah worked in his fields, God's voice rang out, clear and commanding, "Noah, I will wipe away the wickedness of this earth with a great flood. Build an ark of gopher wood, 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. I will save you, your family, and a pair of every animal." Noah's heart raced, but he did not waver. He knelt and said, "I will do as you command." Though he had never seen heavy rain, though the earth lay dry beneath the sun, Noah trusted God completely. With his sons Shem, Ham, and Japheth he felled trees, hammered planks, and built a massive vessel. Neighbors mocked him, "The old man's gone mad. A ship on dry land." But Noah pressed on, sweat dripping onto the wood, his faith unwavering. When the ark stood complete, a towering fortress amid the fields, God spoke again, "Bring your family and the animals aboard, 2 of every kind, male and female, to survive the flood." Noah obeyed. Elephants lumbered aboard, lions roared, birds chirped as pairs of creatures filled the wooden sanctuary. From proud giraffes to tiny mice, they crowded together. The scoffer still laughed, but the sky darkened, ominous clouds rolling in. Then the day came. Noah, his wife, his sons, and their wives entered the ark. God himself shut the massive door, sealing them in his protection. Outside, the ground trembled, springs burst from the earth, and rain fell like arrows piercing the air. For 40 days and 40 nights, water rose, sweeping away homes, trees, and the desperate cries of those who once mocked Noah. The earth became a boundless ocean, with only the ark drifting atop the raging waves. Inside, Noah's family was safe. They tended the animals, prayed, and waited. Months later, the waters receded. Noah released a raven, then a dove. The first time, the dove returned, finding no dry land. The second time, it brought back a fresh olive branch, a sign of new life. The third time, it did not return. Noah opened the ark's door, sunlight pouring in, revealing a cleansed earth ready for a fresh start. God said, "Go forth, multiply, and fill the earth." Noah built an altar, offering thanks. God set a radiant rainbow in the sky, a promise never again to destroy the world with water. From Noah's faith and obedience, a new world was reborn, carrying hope for generations to come. Chapter 4: Abraham and the Covenant. Centuries after the flood, humanity spread anew, but their hearts remained wayward. In Ur of Chaldea lived Abram, a wealthy man with cattle and tents, alongside his wife, Sarai. Though prosperous, Abram yearned for something deeper. Sarai, beautiful and kind, could not bear children, a quiet sorrow shadowing their lives. One day, as Abram sat beneath an oak by the river, God's voice broke through, clear as the desert wind. "Abram, leave your homeland, your kin, and your father's house. Go to a land I will show you. I will make you a great nation, bless you, and through you, all nations will be blessed." Abram's heart pounded, but he did not question. Trusting fully, he packed his tents, called Sarai and his nephew Lot, and led his household toward the promised land Canaan. Years passed as Abram pitched tents among Canaan's hills, living as a nomad beneath starry skies. Yet the promise of a great nation seemed distant, for Sarai remained barren. One night, God appeared in a dream, leading Abram outside. "Count the stars, if you can," he said. "So shall your offspring be." Abram believed, and his faith pleased God. He renamed him Abraham, father of many nations, and Sarai became Sarah, princess. God made a covenant: "This land will belong to your descendants forever." The greatest test lay ahead. In their old age, near 100 years, a miracle unfolded. Sarah bore a son, Isaac. Laughter, joy filled their tents, banishing years of waiting. Isaac grew strong, the light of Abraham's life. Then one day, God's voice came again, piercing Abraham's heart. "Take Isaac, your only son, to Mount Moriah, and offer him as a burnt sacrifice to me." Tears fell silently as Abraham wrestled with the command. Why would God, who gave Isaac, demand this? Yet he obeyed. At dawn, Abraham called Isaac, took wood and fire, and climbed the mountain in heavy silence. Isaac asked innocently, "Father, here's the wood and fire, but where's the lamb?" Abraham's voice trembled. "God will provide, my son." On the peak, he built an altar, bound Isaac, and raised his knife, hands shaking. But as the blade gleamed, a voice thundered from heaven, "Abraham, Abraham, do not harm the boy. Now I know you fear me, for you spared not your only son." Tears mixed with joy as Abraham looked up. Nearby, a ram caught in a thicket stood ready, God's provision. God reaffirmed the covenant: "Because you obeyed, your offspring will be as numerous as the stars and sand, and through you, all nations will be blessed." Abraham embraced Isaac, gratitude overflowing. From his faith and obedience, a great nation took root, bearing the promise of salvation for all. Chapter 5: The Exodus and the Ten Commandments. Centuries after Abraham, his descendants grew into a vast people, the Israelites, but they no longer roamed free in Canaan. Famine had driven them to Egypt, where they were once welcome through Joseph, Abraham's descendant. Yet time erased gratitude, and a new Pharaoh, ignorant of Joseph, enslaved them. Under a scorching sun, they toiled, building pyramids with sweat and tears. Amid this misery, a child was born to an Israelite family. To save him from Pharaoh's decree to kill all male infants, his mother set him adrift in a basket on the Nile. Pharaoh's daughter found him, naming him Moses, drawn from the water, and raised him in the palace. But Moses never forgot his roots. One day, seeing an Egyptian beat an Israelite, he killed the oppressor and fled to the Midian desert. There, he lived as a shepherd, thinking his life would fade into obscurity. But God had not forgotten his people. One day, as Moses tended sheep near Mount Horeb, a bush burst into flame before him, burning yet unconsumed. From the fire, God spoke, "Moses, I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I have seen my people suffering in Egypt. Go to Pharaoh and lead them out." Moses trembled. "Who am I to do this?" God replied, "I will be with you." With a staff in hand and God's promise in his heart, Moses returned to Egypt. Before Pharaoh, Moses demanded, "Let my people go." Pharaoh sneered, "I know not your God." Through Moses, God unleashed 10 plagues. The Nile turned to blood, frogs swarmed, locusts devoured, and darkness fell, culminating in the death of Egypt's firstborn. Broken, Pharaoh relented. That night, the Israelites ate unleavened bread and lamb, marking their doors with blood, the first Passover as the angel of death passed over them. Millions left Egypt, laden with gold and hope. But Pharaoh reneged, pursuing with his army. At the Red Sea, the Israelites faced water ahead and chariots behind, crying, "We'll die." Moses raised his staff, trusting God. A mighty wind blew, parting the sea, revealing a dry path. They crossed, walls of water towering on either side. As the Egyptians followed, the waters crashed down, swallowing them. On the far shore, the Israelites sang of victory, praising their deliverer. Their journey continued to Mount Sinai, where God summoned Moses amid thunder and smoke. He inscribed the 10 Commandments on stone tablets. "Worship only me. Make no idols. Honor your parents. Do not kill. Do not steal." These laws guided the Israelites to live justly, free not just from Egypt's chains but from sin's bondage. From the Red Sea's miracle to Sinai's commandments, the Israelites learned true freedom comes through obedience and trust in God, who led them toward a land flowing with milk and honey. Chapter 6, David and Goliath. Years after settling in Canaan, the Israelites faced a fearsome foe, the Philistines. These fierce warriors camped on the hills of Elah, overlooking a valley where Israel's army trembled. From the Philistine ranks stepped Goliath, a giant nearly 10 feet tall. His bronze armor gleamed, so heavy no ordinary man could bear it. Wielding a spear like a weaver's beam, he roared, "Send a man to fight me. If he wins, we'll serve you. If I win, you'll serve us." For 40 days, his taunts paralyzed Israel with fear. Far from the battlefield, in Bethlehem, young David tended his father Jesse's sheep. The youngest of 8 brothers, he had sun-brown skin, bright eyes, and a heart full of zeal. Often, he sat beneath an olive tree, playing his harp and singing to God, who had saved him from lions and bears preying on his flock. One day, Jesse called, "David, take bread, grain, and cheese to your brothers at the front." David obeyed, leaving his sheep with a keeper and hurrying to the valley. There, he heard Goliath's bellow. Israel's army cowered, But David stood unafraid. He asked his brothers, "Why does no one face this giant? How dare he defy the living God of Israel?" His words reached King Saul, who summoned a boy. Looking at the slight youth, Saul said, "You can't fight him. You're a child. He's a warrior." David replied firmly, "God saved me from lions and bears. He'll save me from this Philistine." Saul relented, offering his armor and sword. But David refused. "I'm not used to these." Instead, he went to a stream, picked 5 smooth stones, tucked them in his shepherd's pouch, and gripped his trusty sling. Staff in hand, he strode into the valley to face Goliath. The giant sneered, "What are you, daring to face me with a stick? Come here, and I'll feed you to the birds and beasts." David shouted back, "You come with sword, spear, and shield, but I come in the name of the Almighty God you've mocked. Today, he'll deliver you into my hands." Goliath charged, roaring. David ran forward, whirling his sling. A stone shot forth, slicing the air, striking Goliath's forehead. The giant froze, eyes wide, then crashed to the ground like a felled tree. Silence gripped the valley. David rushed forward, took Goliath's own sword, and beheaded him, raising the trophy high. The Philistines fled in panic, pursued by Israel's cheering army. David's name spread far. The shepherd boy became a symbol of courage and faith. Not muscle or grand weapons, but trust in God brought victory over an unbeatable foe. Eloh's Valley, once a place of fear, stood as proof of faith's power and God's protection. Chapter 7, Jesus and the Miracles. Centuries after David, Israel groaned under Roman rule. The people longed for the promised Messiah. In the small village of Nazareth, a man emerged, Jesus, son of Mary and Joseph. More than a carpenter, he was the only Son of God, sent to bring light to the world. Word of Jesus spread like wind through Galilee's hills. He taught of love and forgiveness, his gentle yet commanding voice captivating all. But it was his miracles, deeds beyond human grasp, that left crowds in awe. One day in Capernaum, a demon-possessed man was brought to Jesus. He snarled, eyes wild, body convulsing. The crowd murmured, "He's beyond help." Jesus gazed at him with compassion and commanded, "Come out of him." A shriek pierced the air as the demon fled, leaving the man calm and whole. The people gasped, "What power is this, that even demons obey?" Another time, by Lake Gennesaret, a desperate mother begged Jesus to heal her dying daughter. He touched the girl, barely breathing, and said softly, "Arise." She opened her eyes, sat up, cheeks rosy again. The mother embraced her, tears of joy streaming down. His wonders went beyond healing. At a wedding in Cana, the wine ran dry, the host pale with worry. Jesus told the servants to fill 6 stone jars with water. They obeyed, skeptical. When they drew it out, the water had become fine wine, fragrant and rich, prompting guests to marvel, "Why save the best for last?" Only the servants and his mother knew he'd turned the ordinary into the extraordinary. One evening by the Sea of Galilee, thousands gathered to hear him. As night fell, they grew hungry, with only a boy's 5 loaves and 2 fish to share. Jesus took them, gave thanks, and broke them, feeding over 5,000. Miraculously, the food never ran out, leaving 12 baskets of leftovers. The crowd whispered, "Surely he sent from God." Jesus' miracles revealed his love. He gave sight to the blind, made the lame walk, and comforted broken hearts. Through each act, he said, "Believe in me, for I bring eternal life." His fame grew, stirring hope and envy among the powerful. Seeking no glory, Jesus walked among the poor, sick, and outcast, offering not just healing but salvation. Each miracle was a promise. God had not forsaken humanity, and through him, a kingdom of love and peace drew near. Chapter 8. The Resurrection. After 3 years of ministry, Jesus faced his destiny. Jerusalem's leaders, the priests and Pharisees, envied him, fearing his words and the crowds who hailed him as Messiah. During Passover, Judas, one of his 12 disciples, betrayed him. Roman soldiers seized Jesus, dragging him before Pontius Pilate. Though finding no fault, Pilate bowed to the mob's cries, "Crucify him!" Jesus was scourged, crowned with thorns, and forced to carry a heavy cross to Golgotha, the skull hill. Under a blazing sun, soldiers nailed him between 2 thieves. Blood stained the earth, yet he prayed, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." At the 9th hour, darkness fell, the earth quaked, and Jesus cried, "It is finished," breathing his last. The crowd wept, foes mocked, and disciples fled in despair. Joseph of Arimathea took Jesus' body, laying it in a new rock-hewn tomb, sealed with a great stone. Roman guards stood watch, securing it against theft. Night fell, hope extinguished. Disciples whispered, "Wasn't he to save Israel?" Now. But on the 3rd day, as dawn broke, Mary Magdalene and other women came to anoint Jesus' body. They worried, "Who will roll the stone away?" At the tomb, they froze. The stone was moved, the grave empty, only folded linens remained. 2 angels in dazzling white appeared, saying, "Why seek the living among the dead? He is not here, he has risen, as he said." Mary raced to tell the disciples. Peter and John ran to the tomb, marveling yet doubting. That afternoon, 2 disciples walked to Emmaus, mourning their teacher. A stranger joined them, asking, "Why so sad?" Unknowingly, they spoke to Jesus. At supper, he broke bread, and their eyes opened. It was him. Then he vanished. That night, as the disciples hid behind locked doors, Jesus appeared among them. "Peace be with you," he said, showing his pierced hands and side. They gasped, joy mingling with fear, thinking him a ghost. He smiled, "Touch me, eat with me, and see I live." They wept and cheered. He was truly risen. For 40 days, Jesus appeared, teaching about God's kingdom. On the Mount of Olives, he blessed them and ascended in a cloud, promising, "I am with you always." From an empty tomb, a message spread: death was not the end, but the dawn of eternal life. Jesus' resurrection brought hope to the hopeless, light to the darkened, and faith in salvation through him. His fearful disciples became bold messengers, proclaiming the good news of the one who conquered death.